country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying, God has smiled on me. He's been good. Me free. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He's been so good. So then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out.
It's Wednesday, November the 5th. Do you know what time it is? It's Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, all fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country, and good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Well, I don't have to tell you, I'm sure wherever you are around the country, you know it was a huge day yesterday voting on this off-year election, and Donald Trump was the recipient of a major electoral whipping on yesterday. Proposition 50 in California passed, which means it will be on the ballot to do redistricting, and the Democrats feel they can get those districts in their favor, which will make up for the districts that was drawn and the redistricting happened in Texas. That's a major defeat for the Republicans and Donald Trump. We saw in Virginia the Democrat won and defeated soundly with double digits the Democrat, far-right Democrat MAGA, a black woman, by the way, that had the more extreme policies than most of the MAGA crowd, and Trump would even call her name. In New Jersey, the Democrat won. Mikey Sherrill defeated a big Trumpster there. And, of course, here in New York, Zohran Mamdani beat Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Lee were decisively 9 percentage points ahead of Andrew Cuomo. So I think that the voting, and in New York, I might add, it had the largest turnout of voters since 1969. That's how many people came out to vote. We also saw Mary Sheffield elected the first black woman, first woman to be mayor in Detroit. And I've known Mary Sheffield since she was a little girl. Her father worked with me, still works with me, Reverend Horace Sheffield. And to see Mary go from 4-year-old little girl to mayor of Detroit is amazing. So it was a great night. And the question now is the work that's got to be done. To win an election and never leave the victory party is, in my opinion, where the Democrats always fail. We celebrate too quick, party too long, and don't realize that people voted for them to solve their problems, not celebrate that you're in position to solve them. What do I care if you're in position to solve my problems if you're not going to solve them? So I think that the celebration's good. That was last night. Now let's get to work. And how are we going to get this done? And what does it mean? And what doesn't it mean? And for the governors, who's going to be in their cabinet? And for the mayor of New York, who's going to be in your administration? And for California, how do we shape those districts and maximize having the right people in those seats? Don't celebrate too quickly. Now, I'm not robbing you of the celebration. It was a major defeat. Trump was embarrassed. And I'm sure in his humiliation, he's going to strike out and do something, try to even the score. He hates to appear like a loser. They had the tariff arguments in front of the Supreme Court this morning, and it seemed like even some of the justices in the Supreme Court was questioning his authority to do tariffs. But the setbacks at the polls has got to be hurting him badly when you see Abigail Spanberger defeating, what's her name, Earl Sears in Virginia, and Mikey Sherrill over Jack Chiarelli, I think it's the right way to say his name, in New Jersey, and like I said about Zoran and on and on. And don't forget, Trump came in the night before and endorsed Cuomo, and it didn't help Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo got beaten by 9 points. So I think that we also need to make sure that we make it clear, and I can talk about the home court home court advantage here. And many of you know Mandani has been, Happiness Donuts just chimed in on our message board saying, let us party until the weekend, Rev. No, ain't gonna let y'all do that. Y'all, at 5 o'clock today, the party's over. Let's go to work, Happiness Donuts. I'm sorry. We can't take, because these people by the weekend gonna come with something else. Believe me. Trump is mulling right now what he can do. But the interesting thing, breakdown, I was telling some reporters today that 51% of the black community voted for Mandani in New York, where he only got 20% in the primary. So he only got 20% against a black vote against Cuomo in the primary, and it went up 30-something%. Blacks had the highest percentage of votes for him than Latinos or whites. So we helped engineer that victory. We just got to make sure we collect on it, because that's what people vote for. And I think that we've got to deal with that. So we've got to deal with the issues of both locally in your communities, nationally and globally. What do you mean by that, Rev Mal? I mean, locally, you got to deal with who are the prosecutors, who are the local state officials, city officials, municipal officials, and who are they bringing to the table. And nationally, we've got to deal with the government shutdown, longest shutdown in history, and no end in sight. And I feel that we need to deal with all of that. Globally, Darfur and Venezuela, I'm troubled by any accusations about Christians being killed, but I want to know the evidence of that, and I want to know how Trump said we're going in there with guns blazing when the government of Nigeria is denying it. So you saying that you're going to supersede a domestic government in Africa like you're doing in Venezuela? I think we need to pause and question that. So there's a lot of work to do. And I was glad about last night, but I was up working out this morning getting ready to do the work. I see the Rodney Jones, the mayor, is on, and I think that the mayor said, Mayor Rodney Jones of Queensbridge Houses, he said, I was watching Morning Joe and Scarborough was talking to the head of the ADL, that's the Anti-Defamation League, and he suggested that you, Reverend Al, can mediate a meeting with Mandani and Greenblatt. Well, Greenblatt's head of ADL. I think that there's the charge that Greenblatt and them was making that he was anti-Semitic and Jewish people are upset and all that. I know Greenblatt. He's worked with us on some of our marches, supporting that. We don't agree on everything, but that we agree with. I disagree with anti-Semitism. He's disagreed with racism. Whether I could broker the meeting or not, I don't know, and I don't, I'm willing to support a meeting, but I'm dealing with the voting rights issues around the country. I'm dealing with criminal justice reform. I got a full plate, but if the mayor, new mayor wanted me to help, I would be helpful wherever I can. But I got other mayors. I keep telling people this is national action network. I got Mayor Sheffield now, and mayors all over the country, Mayor Ras Baraka. So I'm going to be as helpful as I can, but as effective as I know how to be. And forensic accountant said there is no way I would be involved in an invasion force anywhere in Africa. Yeah, I'm inclined to be there with you. Why isn't he going into Ukraine with guns blazing? I mean, has anybody but me noticed that he's only talking about non-white countries? Drug dealing from Venezuela, non-white. Guns blazing in Nigeria. Now, if they're selling drugs, fine. Confiscate the drugs, try them in a court of law, find them guilty, and whatever it is, it is. But come in and just kill people on boats that we don't know that they've been found guilty. And then you talking about guns blazing in Darfur. So how do we know you separate the Christians from the Muslims? I mean, what is this? Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions. This whole fight around DEI, in which they did DEI, started at Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACPD with the Defense Fund together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this stuff. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight, we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said,
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back 1-877-532-57 5797 1877 532 5797, twitter.com, The Rev Al, or go to our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Live stream, and you can put a message up, and I'm looking at all of our messages board now. I see Trisha saying that's the reason I had to leave New York. I couldn't afford it. She's talking to forensic accountant. Yeah, the affordability is real. And I think we got to understand that ain't going away by itself. We're going to have to do something about that. Darrell Prunty is saying, praise the Lord, Reverend Al Sharpton. We are Democrats, showed up and out last night. God is good all the time. Yeah, we just got to follow up and make sure that people do what they supposed to do. Let me say by way of announcements, you know it's going to be hot and heavy, so don't miss it. Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And certainly we're going to have a recap of the election. Some of the candidates some of the winners and some of the people that are in power. We will have the people in the negotiations on this shutdown. If the negotiations resume, we understand they may resume by the day of tomorrow, or what is happening with that, and what's happening with SNAP. I'm going to have all of that on, as well as where we are with these tariff cases and the voting situation. Now, what's next step? We got California to pass a referendum. Do we go to Maryland? Do we go to other states? So don't miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. You that in the New York area, you don't want to miss the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And, of course, it'll be the Saturday after the election. I'm going to give a full analysis nationally and assignments and where we are going forward with the shareholders strategy with major corporations that have stopped their DEI policies. And I think it's good that corporations see last night how people are mobilized because it makes it very, very good about outraising the fact to them that Trump does not have the entire electorate with them. And they saw that last night at the polls. So I think that is very, very, very important. And I think everybody ought to be at the rally Saturday if you're in the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey area. And what we want to hold Mandani and Cheryl, the governor-elect now of New Jersey, what we want to hold them accountable for. What's the agenda? I don't celebrate other people's wins unless I know I'm part of the victory. If we were part of the process, then let us be part of the victory. Let's be real clear. So make sure you're at the rally this Saturday if you're in the tri-state area. If you're not, you should watch it live on nationalactionnetwork.net live stream, or you can watch it live on Impact Television. And I think that's important. I like James Thomas is saying, Rev, I think Bill Ackman should be very afraid of what happened last night. It doesn't do well for him. He invested all this money against DEI. That's why we've been marching on him now over 100 weeks, and that's continuing tomorrow. He got rid of the first black woman and first black president of Harvard under that. And he put a lot of money in against Mandani, openly saying he was giving 7 figures or more, whatever he was raising, for Andrew Cuomo, and got soundly rejected. So you know that I would, for one, would be saying that there should be no municipality or state that should not have in mind his anti-DEI policies when they're dealing with him in business that involves the taxpayers' dollars. Let me put it that way. It needs to be really clear where we're at and where we're not at. He has a right to his position against DEI, but he don't have the right to do that and do trade with taxpayers' money that are recipients, supporters, and architects of DEI. Can't have both ways. And I think that it is important we do that. On the message page, Frederick McLeod is saying, yesterday was an outstanding day. We are losing badly. It seemed that we were playing with the person that had loaded the dice. Yep, and I think that he had, but I think the dice came back wrong for him this time. And we've got to even be more diligent. And I'm telling you, you can blow a victory with premature celebrations. Yeah, have a good party last night. If y'all went to one of the candidates in the victory party. But let me tell you something. They are planning right now. They started planning last night. I remember when Barack Obama ran for president, they started meeting, Mitch McConnell and them was meeting at the restaurant across the street from the inauguration on how they was going to take back the House and the Senate and try to take him out in 4 years. That night of the inauguration. And that's not moving too fast, let the man get his feet wet. No, that is business. If you know that the person in office is against your interests, you don't let no grass grow under your feet. All right, let's take a break. I'm coming to you on the phones right after this break. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of Nash Action Network to always, when the mom he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in.
Yes, sir. We would go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation.
Wow.
And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, so that's and we
Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly. I just remember the two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. Wow. South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And where I knew Jesse was from James, I started brother.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and him pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know that my great grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. Hey, what's up? They got, they're doing, thank you. They're doing, what's on your mind? Yeah. All right, then,
We got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday
Please.
this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got to tell
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And, of course, you can go to the message page at live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Want to know how you feel and how you felt about yesterday's elections and where you think we need to go from here. You that voted, I want to know, are you pleased with your vote and next steps? Let's talk and get down into it. Let's start with Still Bill in Cincinnati, Ohio, the buzz. Still Bill, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. Is Still Bill there? All right, let me go to Lotheria. Is it Lotheria? In Ohio. Loretha. Y'all have the T there rather than the R. Loretha in Ohio, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hallelujah. I'm glad I got through.
You through.
Brother Sharpton.
Yeah.
I'm an old woman. I'm approaching 80. But I've always heard you be hung by the tongue. We as Democrats need to hang Trump by the tongue. He told you have to go back and show the American people him making his statement, because he said anytime somebody's saying something different than he is, it's fake. Show the American people him saying it out of his own mouth. That when he met with the chiefs, the Indians, he told them to dig up the oil. They said, we can't because it's against the law. He said, what they going to do? Put it back? He said, not the president. That's what he said the first time. So that lets you know that he rules that thing. Go ahead and do it because they can't reverse it. And that's what he did to that White House. Plus, pay attention to anybody who goes into Mar-a-Lago. They come out different. I don't know if it's in the brick, the mortar, or whether or not he got drugs in the water. That's why he's got to build this new ballroom. He is doing something he ain't got no business being put in the wall. So you need to check that out. His remedy, he said, put alligators in the water for border control. That's the first thing. Show them him saying these things himself. He does not like the United States. He's very revengeful, and ever since they tried to impeach him, he's been going after. He wants to dismantle the United States, bring them to their knees because of the impeachment. He hates America. And where is Mike Flynn? He is doing something underground. So if he loses, he's going to be able to fight. He's building the army somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I know he's building the army. And now he's got Qatar going to come over here and make them a army base over here. Trump getting himself set up. Then he's going to move his butt to that strip, Gaza Strip, so you can't get on it. You can't check him out. When he wasn't the first time, I tried to get in touch with Hillary all kinds of ways and couldn't get in touch with her. He wants, and that's when he said that he knew more than the generals. People need to see this. He knew more than the generals concerning ISIS. Well, I told my sister B, and I said, you know what? If that's true, think about it. He's either a national security or he's a big liar. Need to call it out. It's like a chess game. Well, thank you so much. I got
all right, well, thank you for your call. Thank you for your call. Let's go to, I think we got Still Bill now from Cincinnati, Ohio, the buzz. Still Bill.
This is the day the Lord has made, and I'll rejoice and be glad in it. Good afternoon, Reverend. I'm sorry I didn't answer you. I kind of just got preoccupied. But I just wanted to let you know, as always, that I listen to the show every day. I don't call in all the time because I like to listen as well as learn. And this is what I got to say about Donald Trump's situation with the SNAP system and all that. It's just a matter of time. And, you know, you're going to find out who God is, Donald Trump. And the thing is that right now you have the Social Security, you know. And like I said, I'm going to always put it in God's hands that, you know, the system will be overturned. And right now the courts and all that are blocking you of, you know, trying to ruin, you know, the benefits, you know, of the government and everything. And like I said, it's just a matter of time. But Reverend, just wanted to give you your normal props as you deserve. And I want to shout out to your Lincoln Ware and Terrence Howard and the Buzz staff. And to your daughter, Dominique, I will keep it real. Keep it real. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Let me go to Rick in Germany. Rick in Germany, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good day, Rev.
Good day.
I just want to say that you were right in opening the show to say that we should not party too long as Democrats. But I also want to say that it is up to the people and the people you put in office to unite as Democrats and do something for the common people. Trump is not going to be around very much longer. But somebody could slip in there as a Republican if poor people don't vote and push Democrats or an independent to do something for the people and clean up the mess that Trump has made. You're right to say we party too long. It's time to get to work and to get to the vote. I'm done, brother man.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let's go. Let me go to Raj in Cleveland, Ohio. Raj.
Hey, Reverend, thanks for taking my call. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you know, you mentioned where do we go from here. I think this is a good time to use as a reminder something that wasn't, I don't know if it was how strong if it was at all emphasized back in 2018 when they had the blue wave at the midterms. And it's trying to have a little similar feel to that. And so now the midterms is coming up next year, but just like from the Barack Obama presidency to Trump, I'm saying the blacks, the numbers show that we didn't keep the momentum going so obviously, in spite of all the, you know, what the narrative was, or not just the narrative, but the truth was that we needed to push forward, and everybody understood what the climate was. It seemed like maybe they didn't, because it was like from one extreme to the other when it came to how the turnout for Hillary versus the turnout for Obama was. And then 2018 to 2022, it fell off when you talk about the midterms. I know now gerrymandering did have a lot to do with that one. But however, the message needs to be, we got to keep turning out in all these elections. You know, like yesterday, that was very encouraging to show how blue New Jersey was. Then the Democrats won, you know, the gubernatorial race in Virginia. That was good to see that Youngkin got knocked out of the box on that one. And then, but see, yeah, we got to have a focus going forward and a vision, and stay focused on what it all means from one election to the next. And it's not just this candidate win and then, like you say, go party or just, you know, go back to business as usual. It can't be business as usual. Even if things do go back to normal, it has to be. This has to be a lesson that you can't take democracy for granted. So that's what I have to say on that.
You can't take democracy for granted is exactly right. That was I couldn't have said it better. And I think that we've got to be extremely vigilant through here because we can't let people relax with just this victory. And I think that, sometimes people think, well, we did this, that's enough. No, you've got to be consistent. You can't stop till you get the legislation, the rules changed. The government is still shut down. With all of us feeling good about some of the races, federal workers still won't get paid this week. SNAP recipients are still not getting their SNAP money. So let's be real clear that we want an opening, but we've not got where we need to go. All right, thank you for your call. Let me go to Geralda in Brooklyn, New York. Geralda.
Yes, Geralda, keeping it real. I'm just weighing in on the mayoral race in New York City. While we have a new mayor, I really don't know anything about him. But what I do notice about him is that he doesn't really care for women in any kind of leadership role. He didn't. He wasn't very nice towards Kamala Harris. Even though our governor endorsed him, he's not interested to me in endorsing her. And as much fanfare as Letitia James has given him, she didn't support Adams in his situation with the bogus charges against him. Now she has bogus charges against her.
Whoa. Who didn't support Adams and what are you talking about?
Letitia James did not support Adams in his
and nobody else did either. Nobody else did either. Who supported Adams?
How you mean nobody else?
Name me who. Name
how
me.
You mean nobody?
I just said. Whoa. Slow down, Geralda. You're talking to me now. Name me who came out in support of him with those charges. He made a deal with Trump. Trump said it out loud.
I don't know about that.
I do. I watched Trump say that he took care of. Wait a minute.
I don't care about Trump.
Then don't make the statement nobody would support. Why would anybody support Trump? No, I'm not going to let you finish. You're going to let me finish, then I'll let you finish. Why would anybody support Trump saying he took care of Eric Adams? Tish James, that's unfair to say about Tish James. Whatever you said about the governor, fine. Whatever you said about the other. But why would Tish James say that it's all right for Trump to take care of Eric Adams? Why would she say that?
Well, no, hold on. I didn't say anything about her saying anything about Trump.
You said that she didn't support Eric Adams.
Bogus charges.
Well, obviously he didn't think they were bogus if he made a deal with Trump.
Who made the deal with Trump?
He had to make it.
When was that verified?
What do you mean? How was it? Wait a minute. Geralda, me and you good. When Trump said that he took care of Eric Adams, and I asked Eric Adams about it on Politics Nation, he said I was facing 36 years. He did not say that Trump didn't take care of him. So if you mad at Tish James, I don't know why. I don't know what Tish was supposed to say. Thank you for your call. I mean, come on. All you want to say about with the governor and Mandani and all that, fine. But you're going to get mad at Tish James for not saying something when she had the case against Trump and Trump said he helped out Eric? And nobody been tied with Eric or me, but what you going to say? Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Sharpton. That's my name. Be right back. Hey, what's up? They're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, you got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend.
And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter. I want him to read, and I'm ready. Got a message from him today, so we'll be on the air in what, half hour?
About a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready. Make sure you operate on time, or I'll tell them how old you are.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about it.
It's about teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game, because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed, just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try it. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying, you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid, you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated. They can go to school. They can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today. It's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm going to tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as it land, and make it and late at night on a stormy day. You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, if they show you how to fly it, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit for it in terms of a James Brown. If you had that initiative to keep working at whatever it is that you're going to do, you can succeed. And what we're saying to them is you may not reach the plateau of public prominence of them, but if you can reach the personal discipline and personal motivation of them, you can reach a plateau in your life. Because it's not about looking for a government handout, it's about looking for a way out, as James Brown said.
All right, and then how receptive are the young people that you tell this to?
Very receptive.
Really?
Very receptive. Very receptive. I think that people have misunderstood that most people of impoverished and depressed areas are not looking for the government to give them something. They just want a chance. I remember when I was a little boy, James Brown used to sing, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open the door, I'll get it myself. Well, that's all people want now is a chance. Let me get a piece of the action. Let me get a piece of the pie. Let me stand up on my own.
All right. At one
man should have the major corporations, the government, should get behind him and push the programs that he's about.
Except maybe if he does it himself and gets grassroots support, it's better than having the government stick their nose in, because they have a way sometimes.
We're not talking about control.
Yeah.
We're not talking about control. We're talking about a way of start. You know, they have to start. If they fund crisis and fund all these different other things, they can fund a small man to get started. Then the private sector will join in. But let them help too. It should be.
Last thing. Somewhere along the line here tonight, we used a graphic saying long, hot summer. Are you in any way, I'm certain you're not predicting a long, hot summer. You're not predicting urban strife. You're not predicting disorder, anything like that.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, at home you have an oven. There are flames on top of the oven, and then there's heat in the oven. We always discuss whether there'll be a flame on the top, and don't discuss it. There's already 600 degrees inside. I'm not concerned as much about a long, hot summer because it's been a long, hot winter. Yeah. People are unemployed.
Okay.
People are unemployed. People are getting their homes ripped off. Parents' pocketbooks being snatched. As Ali said, crime is at a highest rate it's ever been. So rather than us running around the streets looking for a brick, we should be looking at the fact the brick is already in most people's houses. How do we get the brick out of the house? How do we cool the long oven out? Let's not wait for the explosion and then just cut the flames off upstairs. Let's put the flame out inside. And the only way to do that is everybody to get up and work by the sweat of their brow in America and try to produce, be productive like these two gentlemen have been in their life against all odds. They came up in a world that was alien to them, and they made it. And we can make it if we have the same initiative they did.
Mr. Sharpton, it's been a pleasure to have you here tonight, and I've enjoyed meeting you very much. Thank you for coming by, and thank you, James Brown, for being with us again. Kent, thank you for being here tonight.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. 5325797. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses Well, let's for be her. back. Let's She go right to represented- the phone line. Let's go to Dr. Andrew in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Dr. Andrew.
Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir.
I have two observations I want to make.
All right.
I made it to the local radio station. People should get college credit for listening to your show on the regular. And we need to make our electoral system less riggable, and starting with the presidential election, where some states give a portion of their electoral votes to the president and some give all, the majority all. We need to straighten that out, and I'm waiting to listen to your proposal. And your
That's interesting. Now, let me tell you what comes to mind, Dr. Andrew, when you say that. And that is one of the things Jesse Jackson did to change the rules in the Democratic Party is that there was a time that if a person was running, like I ran, and somebody got 30% of the vote, somebody else got 20% of the vote, the person with 30% wins all the delegates from that state. And what Reverend Jackson was able to do is change the rules to say, no, they should get 30%, because that's what they want, of the delegates, and 20% of the delegates should go to the person with 20% of the vote. So that could be instructive of what you're saying about the Electoral College, that if the Electoral College went by the vote breakdown, it would be proportional representation. I never heard anyone bring it up on the Electoral College level, but that's interesting. That needs to be looked into. I must say it's interesting.
and on the local level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in principle, if you're going to have a democracy, your democracy should be based on what the voters said. Doesn't change the winner, but it makes the winner not a winner take all, because if you get an imbalance, it balances itself out if somebody gets an imbalance in another situation. So I think you raised a very interesting point. Thank you for your call.
Thank you, Dr. Sharp.
Thank you. Let me go to D in Northwest Atlanta. D.
Hi, Reverend Al.
Hey.
Okay, this is a good day, Reverend Al, and I want to congratulate all the winners across the nation. And we have good news and surprising news for me, too. Here in Georgia, we had two Democrats to win statewide elections for public service commissioner, and they knocked off two Republicans statewide.
Now, and these are statewide positions. Public, explain to the people around the country what that commission controls, because you're talking about energy, electricity. I mean, this is no minor situation here.
Those Democrats ran ads, and I was surprised. It was a surprise. So it is energy, and our bills have been skyrocketing, and they noticed that. And when you go to vote, it says Democrat or Republican, so they check Democrat because they know what's been going on with their bills here in Georgia. But I want to warn us while we're happy right now to not get really excited because, enjoy today. But then we need to realize and remember, do not forget, nationwide, in last November, Trump tells everything, and he said, Elon knows computers. And if you vote this one time, you won't ever have to vote again. So I'm still concerned about nationwide voting, and we need to be a little bit wary and pay attention to what's going on.
All right. I appreciate your call. As always, good to hear your voice, D. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Disco Brian.
What a glorious day, Rev. I didn't sleep all night. I just stayed up raving. I'm just kidding. I want to thank you, Rev, for inviting us all to really sober up right now. from last night's victory parties and start holding all of our glorious winners accountable. And Rev, I'd like to consider what AOC said to Antonia Hilton at the Mamdani victory rally last night. Because Rev, it wasn't just commentary. It was a message aimed at the leaders of our coalition.
Who said this?
AOC last night on MSNBC to your colleague Antonia Hilton, a beautiful woman there at the party.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to quote her directly. So here are her musings on last night's Blue Tsunami. Quote, they were not just tasked with defeating a Republican. They were also tasked with defeating the old guard of the Democratic Party that led us to many of the perils of this moment. And then she added, we are either going to plan and fight for the future together, or you're going to be left behind. Now, to me, the way I hear that, it's not unity language. It sounds more like a warning aimed at very specifically the minority leader Schumer, who in the final minutes refused to endorse Mamdani, and also at Hakeem Jeffries, Leader Jeffries, who was attacked just a few minutes, called pathetic by AOC's and Mamdani's friend Mehdi Hassan after he endorsed Mamdani, with calls to primary Leader Jeffries. That's what Mehdi Hassan has called for because he's so pathetic, because he took too long to endorse the new king of righteousness, according to many. So the message is clear. Submit to AOC's anti-Democratic Party faction, the Democratic Socialists of America, or be replaced. But here's the problem, Rev. If this were truly about coalition and moral principle, I think Mamdani would have turned to you when you invited him. You gave him the invitation Monday morning on Morning Joe to clarify himself. And imagine this, Rev. Imagine if Mamdani had said to you, you know what, Rev, Chuck Schumer on March 14th, 2024, gave the most forceful Senate speech we have possibly ever heard, calling for elections in Israel, denouncing Netanyahu's far-right coalition, and demanding a two-state solution. Rev, a movement that claims moral leadership, I think, would recognize that and would build on it and would meet strength with strength. But instead, AOC, Mamdani, Plattner, and their leader, Bernie Sanders, are silent on all that. Silent on coalition, silent on persuasion. And Rev, there are coalitions about judgment and values that no one seems willing to say plain. If Mamdani wants to lead a multiracial pro-democracy coalition, why did he take a selfie just last summer, smiling beside Uganda's Deputy Prime Minister, Rebecca Kadaga, the woman who spent years calling for the death penalty of LGBTQ Ugandans? When questioned, he just goes, well, I didn't know who she was. And Rev, he's a Ugandan citizen, so nobody buys that. And then again, why is one of his closest media backers, Hassan Piker, who showed up at a New York City rally, a guy who lives in L.A., and who's spent years ridiculing survivors and trashed Kamala as uncharismatic and amplified the very cynicism that depresses Democratic participation? In conclusion, Rev, is this really the beloved community? Is this how we build a durable pro-democracy?
I think, Brian, because I got a lot of calls, I think
Thank
that
you.
we've got to see. I hear you add these questions, and I think you have the right to add them, and I think we need to press and get the answers. But we are where we are, and we need to be able to hold everybody accountable. You and I both agree on that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Please receive one of the greatest voices for the urban community. One, amen. Not them yet. This is one of the greatest voices, not many of the greatest voices. We're going to adjust the program
quickly at this time. This man has spoken out. He stood on the front line. He has been a man for the people, of the people. Please receive Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Bishop. To the Franklin family and to all of us gathered, Aretha Franklin was not only an unparalleled artist, she was a civil rights activist and freedom fighter. It is easy to celebrate the gifts that God gives. It is more difficult when someone uses those gifts in ways that enhances humanity. Aretha Franklin was given special gifts, but she used it in a special way. And she would not want us to celebrate her without talking about she stood for something. She never shamed us. She never disgraced us. She never made us make excuses for her. She represented the best in our community, and she fought for our community until the end. I first met Miss Franklin when I was a teenager. I'd become youth director of New York Operation Breadbasket, and she would come to the strategy meetings with Reverend Jackson. And I would hear the stories of how when Dr. Martin Luther King could make payroll, Harry Belafonte and Aretha Franklin went on an 11-city tour to raise money for Martin Luther King. A lot of artists hang up Dr. King's photo, but Aretha went and raised money and gave it and worked free. Her daddy marched with Dr. King, and she never stopped supporting. As the years went by and I developed National Action Network, and she would call my radio show and have me come to her affairs. She called me one day. She said, "Reverend Al, I want to send you something." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "What's your home address?" And she sent it. About 3 days later, I got a check made out National Action Network signed by Aretha Franklin. I saw about a month later, I said, "You know, I was so blown away. I grew up looking up to you that I framed that check." She said, "Boy, don't you have a copy machine?" She said, "You don't know how I am with my bank accounts. You better cash that check." And but all of her life, she supported the causes. She was a feminist before feminism was popular. She was a civil rights activist when it wasn't popular. She gave us pride, and she gave us a regal bar to reach. And that's why we're all here. We don't all agree on everything, but we agree on Aretha. And she fought for everybody. I remember when we were used to picket, Charles Williams and all of us jumping on the record industry. She said, "Now y'all leave Clive Davis alone. He's one of the good ones." She loved Clive and said, "We got to remember what happened to the Irish and what happened to Jews and what happened to blacks." And that is why we remember her legacy, because she sang a song for all of us. She was the soundtrack of the civil rights movement. If you track where we are, you can follow where Aretha had us. That's why when I look at her and James Brown, whose daughter is here, and others who paid a price, that opened the door, but never forgot where they came from. She was rooted in the black church. She was bathed in the black church. And she took the black church downtown and made folks that didn't know what the Holy Ghost was shout in the middle of a concert. You never saw her perform without her doing gospel, because she never was one to forget where she came from. And that's why we give her this great homegoing. We thank her for what she did with Dr. King. We thank her for what she's done with Reverend Jackson. We thank her for what she's done with all of us. And that is why, you know, the other Sunday on my show, I misspelled respect. And a lot of y'all corrected me. Now I want y'all to help me correct President Trump to teach him what it means. And I say that because when word had went out that Miss Franklin passed, Trump said she used to work for me. No, she used to perform for you. She worked for us. Retha never took orders from nobody but God. So Retha, as you get your rest, my mother passed about 6 years ago. President Clinton, my mother and I had a deal. She said, I'll meet you on the other side. You live the way you're supposed to, and I'll see you in heaven. I said, well, Ma, they tell me there is no bodies in heaven, just spirits. How am I going to know you? I know her sons are. How will I know it? She said, I tell you, you meet me at the exchange counter. I said, exchange counter? What kind of exchange counter? She said, well, right after you get through the Golden Gates, there's an exchange counter. That's where you hand in your cross to pick up your crown. We watched Aretha bear her cross down here. She had to sing with a broken heart. She had to work when she didn't get paid. She was a black woman in a white man's world. She bared her cross. She fought a good fight. Now it's time to crown the queen. I'll see you at the exchange counter where you can now hand in your cross. Ain't no cancer over there, Aretha. Hand in your cross and pick up your crown. As I take my seat, I've been asked to read this. Don't do that. Because I only have 5 minutes and y'all will make me go into something else. Dear friends and family of Aretha, Michelle and I extend our heartfelt sympathies to all of those who gathered in Detroit, and we join you in remembering and celebrating the life of the Queen of Soul. From a young age, Aretha Franklin rocked the world of anyone who had the pleasure of hearing it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Twitter.com, The Rev Al. Or go to the message board and send me a message at nationalactionnetwork.net live stream, and I'll read your message, as many as I can. Let's go to David in Maryland. David, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, Mr. Sharpton, thank you and your staff. attorneys or the other reverends, etc. You have educated us more than any black leader in this country. But I have a question about Prop 50.
Okay.
Okay, that was a result of Texas, is what they did in Texas?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, now, my question, because I hear exactly what you're saying about us partying, but I think they may be plotting right now. What's going to keep the Republicans from doing the same thing they did in Texas in states where you got a lot of black people massed together? Because the professor that came on talking about the Electoral College, I see down the road it may be some problems there. And can you explain that to me?
Well, I think,
Thank you.
you know, David, I think you raised a very, very problematic question. Thank you for your call. And that is that Texas started it with the redistricting. Governor Gavin Newsom of California said, well, the way we can answer that is that I can't order it like Governor Abbott did in Texas, because Governor Abbott, the Texas law gives the governor the right to deal with districting. California, we have to do it by a referendum. So that's why he went on the ballot. Other states like his may have to do it with referendum. Other states are like Abbott. The danger of this running down the rabbit hole is if enough Republican states do what Abbott did, if their law permits the governor to do it, or a referendum where the Republicans win the vote. So the question becomes whether this is a strategy that will overwhelm the Republicans or the Republicans overwhelm the Democrats. I think last night was important because it showed it is viable and can happen, and that the Republicans have as much risk to engage in as the Democrats. But there is risk, and you're raising a good point. It could be the Republicans outdo you and I or whoever the Democrats are in those states. So it is a risk-laden strategy. But if you're going to engage in it, at least on the first outing, at least they won. And that, I thought, was the significance of last night. But it is by no means not risk-free at all. I think you were right about that. Let's go to Rufus in Savannah, Georgia. Rufus.
Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, blessed. I see that they had I'm kind of convinced when I saw that they had a lot of wins for the Democrats, had a lot of wins last night. And that makes me even more convinced that something funny went on in that 2024 election. I'm convinced of that. I mean, you know, God will be done, because it's going to be it's going to turn out how he wants it to turn out anyway. But I'm pretty much convinced that it's a lot of funny business went on with that 2024 election, presidential election. It's something else I want people to take note of, and I believe that people are not taking it as serious as it needs to be taken. This man in office and the people in his cabinet that's over the Defense Department, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as all the indications are pointing to, they have been involved with about 10 or 15 cold-blooded murders in the last month or so. Mm-hmm. And I'm pointing that out to make this point here. It's some people, you know, murder is a capital, and a certain type of murder is a capital offense. And I guess Mr. Trump don't care, because he just about 80 years old, so he may not have to stand. He may not have to stand accountable for it. But he got a lot of younger people, and I'm saying that people ain't taking into account that those offenses, that type of killing people, that's murder. they call that murder. You know, when you kill somebody and you with no justification for killing them, they call that murder. And when you do it multiple times, they call you a serial killer. And when they catch you and you convicted, they send you to the gas chamber. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, these people seem like to me, they ain't got no intention of going down.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't got no intention of going down and have to face the music for that.
I think you raised some excellent points there, Rufus. And I really think we need to look into, I think we need to, look into the whole situation of how they manipulate and how they maneuver, and make sure that whatever it is that we are dealing with is consistent with our values and consistent with how we want to be dealt with. So I think you make an excellent point there.
Yeah. That's all I had to say, because that's something to consider now.
All right, and I think we do need to consider it, no doubt in my mind. Thank you for your call. One of the things I like about our callers, even those I disagree with, is that it also shows you that people around the country in our communities, regular people, are thinking. And I think that one of the things that is most offensive to me is when they act as though we are just some monolith that are unthinkingly following behind politicians or preachers or whoever. We're thinking. That's why when I started this show 19 years ago, I wanted a show that was based on letting people call in and talk to the country using me as a sounding board. And I'm going to disagree sometime. I'm going to disagree with some of my best listeners. And then sometimes they disagree with me. And we can exchange ideas. But we are not puppets of anybody. They want to act like all black folk don't think, they just get swept away with charisma. No, we think. We dissect things. We question each other. And that's why we call this show Keeping It Real. People can question me because it is important. And I think it's right. Evangelist Ramsey, one of the most effective activists I know, says technical issues here in Yonkers currently. But Reverend Sharpton just checking in, and as you did one caller, bringing accusation on live. Bring facts or you will politely be shut down. Keeping it real with the Rev DEI week, 98 weeks tomorrow, 98 weeks at 787 11th Avenue, New York, 12 noon. They've been almost 100 weeks now in front of Bill Ackman's office, National Action Network, New York chapter, and they'll be there 12 noon tomorrow. Evangelist Ramsey and others. Reverend Bird, I think, is going out tomorrow. Let's take a break, and we'll be back. More of you on the phones and on the message board. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. to our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. And I rated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a go-it-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the fleet center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Let's go back to the telephone. Let me go to Lola in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lola, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes. Hi, Reverend Al. And I know you said let's temper being excited, but when you have so many fails over these last 7 or 8 months, I think he's been in office.
Right.
You just want to rejoice in some of the wins from last night, and I just want to thank everybody in Pennsylvania for showing up, getting those justices retained, getting D.A. Krasner in. We got 2 people, Democrats in Bucks County. So we held down for the East Coast. We got New Jersey, we got New York, and we got PA. And so this is what we have to do, and we have California. This is what we have to do. We have to show up and show out. And not as many people came out as should have come out, but people did come out. And people are seeing that what this person said he was going to do is not what he said, is not what he's doing. And I hope that people take from this that when people tell you what has happened to them in the past, and what I'm trying to get to is that black people, black women, and black men, 92% of black women, 78% of black men, told this country to vote for VP Harris because we know what this country has done to us and our ancestors. Believe us, right? But they didn't want to believe us. They're the type that have to put their hand on the stove and be burnt, not by saying, don't touch that stove because you're going to get burnt. But now America, this country, has put their hand on the stove and has been burnt. Nothing has went down for anybody, no matter what color you are, no matter what economic status you're in, unless you're a billionaire. Everything is high. The groceries, rent, mortgage, your insurance has went up. Reverend Al, everything has went up for working people and upper middle class people. And even if you're making good money like I am, it affects you with your children, with other people who are now in trouble. You got family members calling saying, can you help me here? Can you do this? Can you do that? And so everybody is feeling this pinch. And so I hope that America, regardless of their race, their color, or their creed, has learned. Believe what black people tell you about this country and follow our lead. We're sick of telling you over and over again what this country will do to you, what white men will do to you, lie, say they're going to do certain things and lie in your face and stab you in your front. Listen to black women, listen to black America, and follow our lead. And we don't want to keep telling y'all this. You know, we told y'all, and now see what happened. So I'm so happy what happened last night with the wins. I think that everybody needs to get on board. You know, Disco Brian calls from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He keeps talking about Mandani and all of that stuff. The man has won. Get on board and back him. Hold everybody accountable. Republicans, Democrats, everybody accountable. But please let go of this, whatever you're on about Mandani and all this other stuff, and AOC and all of them. We are dealing with a tyrant, a petulant, petty tyrant in the White House. So the least thing I want to hear about is all this Mandani stuff. He hasn't even been sworn in. He won't get sworn in until January the 1st. So let's wait and see what he does, okay? And call here about something else and let Reverend Al help us about something else, because we got to follow what people want. It's not about what you want. It's about what the majority wants. And the majority has voted for Mandani in New York. We voted for the justices in Pennsylvania. We got the lady in Virginia. We got the other lady in Atlanta. We got the mayor of Detroit who is black. So we got to push and fight and keep coming out to vote. The midterms are coming up. We are already calling people. We are already getting on the horn, asking people why they feel a certain way about not voting or who they're voting for. So we're starting now because we know May is coming up, and I am not adverse to thinking that Trump and their minions and Stephen Miller are going to try to pull something to stop voting or whatever they're going to try to do. But we have the courts. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep fighting. Like you said, you just said something, Reverend Al, about the caller just said they might try something. I do think they're going to try something, but that's why we're going to be on guard, and that's why we're going to be out here, and we're going to be fighting the courts, the justices, all of that. You've got to get out and vote. You can't sit back and be apathetic and think that, oh, this can't happen to me. Now look what happened. The SNAP is gone. The health care is going to be gone. And now I just want to say this one last thing. I do not agree with the Dems giving up on this fight. If you're going to go into something, you stand 10 toes down before you get in it. If you say, I'm going to not vote for this bill until we get what we want, which is the thing for health care on the Dem side, then that's what you do. Because, listen, people in Philadelphia and all over the country are showing up. We're at the food banks. We're giving money. We're not going to let our people starve, no matter what race you are and no matter who you voted for. We're going to feed you. But we need the Dems to hold the line and fight. We always talking about they're not doing enough, but now they are doing enough, and people trying to pressure them. You have to understand in this world, without some pain, there is no gain. And so we're in a painful time right now, but not because the Dems put us there, because a lot of people didn't come out and vote and then voted for Trump. So now the Dems are holding the line, and they won't, and the Republicans won't open the government without that thing with the health care. No, the Dems keep fighting, keep holding the line. We have to hold them up.
Let me say something on that, Lola. I think you express my feelings exactly. I do not blame people if they do not have the same conclusion or internal fortitude that I may have or that you may have. But then they should not blame us if we have that. And that's all I say. I tell people, you don't have to do what I do, but don't blame me if I do that, because that's what I do and that's the standard I have. It's just like when one of our callers earlier was mentioning about Eric Adams. I understand Eric Adams or anybody else that may want to make a deal, but I don't make deals. When I had fought 35 years ago the Tawana Brawley case and the man come put charges on us, I didn't make a deal. I said, roll the dice, let's go. And I won. So it would be hypocritical for me to agree with somebody making a deal I wouldn't make. Same thing with the Democrats. I wouldn't bend, buckle, or bow to Trump no matter what he did, particularly around health care. Because the whole fight, this ain't about Democrats winning over Republicans or Republicans over Democrats. They're trying to change the Affordable Care Act, which affects millions of people's health care and premium. I wouldn't bow. If they do it, I'm going to disagree. If they don't, I'm going to stand with them. I think people need to deal with their own self-temperature and see, would I do that if I don't agree with that? And if I wouldn't do it, I'm not going to sanction nobody else do it. Don't mean we can't talk about other things. Don't mean I'm going to call you a sack of names, but I'm going to say I don't agree with that.
That's right, Reverend Al. And people have to understand, without health, you have nothing. If your health is your wealth. And listen, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, right? You have to pay all these co-pays. You have to pay all this stuff. But if you have good health care, it shaves some of the prices. It takes some of the stuff down. And people don't understand. Health care is very important. You need to go get those checkups. You need to get everything, a physical exam, and when you have to go in sick or whatever that you have to do for your own body. So without health, we have nothing. We have nothing in this country in our life if we don't have health. And so they have to keep fighting. We got to back them. They got to stand 10 toes down. We keep saying we want the Dems to fight. They're not doing enough. Well, now they're doing it, and now we as Americans have to pick up the slack. Help your neighbors eat, give them some food, give some little money or whatever, because we know what they're fighting for. In the end, it's not just about fighting for health care, but it's letting them know you're not going to walk over us the way that you think you are. We are now standing up. And this is what America asked for, right? Y'all asked for the Dems to not be so They don't have a spine, don't do this and don't do that. Well, now they're doing it. So stop pressuring them to give in to Trump. Trump is a bully, and bully never stands down once you give in. They keep coming back for more.
And I totally agree. And I think that we need, if we're not going to stand up on health care, not only because it was a crown jewel legislation of Obama's administration, but because people need health care. 25 million people that didn't have health care was impacted, and they'll be impacted by a caving on this. What do you represent if you can just write that off in some bargain with a guy that just want to bluff you? I mean, it makes no sense. And people say, well, you got to understand, Reverend, the federal government is shut down our employees. I do understand it. And I also understand that the Republicans have the majority of the House, they have the majority of the Senate, and they have the White House. And Trump said, kill the filibuster, and they won't do that. So they got enough votes to do what they want to do. They're the reason the government shut down. Because they know if they kill the filibuster, it's going to come back to bite them later. So they're trying to have the cake and eat it too. And I hope Schumer and Hakeem does not give them an easy way out. I am definitely in full agreement with what you said there. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More of you on the phones and on the live stream in terms of our message board. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street. It's been a long time coming, but I'm 1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, let them know they killed the dreamer. I have a dream today. They can't kill the dreamer.
it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not going to throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
$1 billion, and Tennessee State was the one they shorted the most.
Absolutely. Well, let me know. I'm on the next plane as soon as you holler. You know, when Ben Crump called, I don't even question it. I just head to the airport and get the details on the way.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. Keeping it real. And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797 or twitter.com, the Rev Al. Or you can go on our message board and send me a message at nationalactionnetwork.net. Live stream our message board as Leslie Jennings is sending a message saying Representative Boyle can explain the country's economic condition in a way that helps us understand how it is affecting our kitchen table budgets. And I think that's been the key to this whole election results, and that is that whether you are progressive or quote Democratic Socialist, or whether you are mainstream like Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, or whether you are a black woman that's somewhat progressive, somewhat mainstream, like Mary Sheffield, who's now the mayor-elect of Detroit. If you address people's issues, if you are dealing with where people are, where they exist, people will respond. And I think, you know, I was telling some people last night, we were talking, and I told them, I said, you know, I got a funny habit. And they said, what's that? I said, I don't answer my cell phone unless it rings. If you are not calling me, you're not talking to me about my issues, I'm not responding. So you can get up there and impress me on how much history you know, and you're an expert on what happened in the War of 1812 and what kind of socks Woodrow Wilson put on. But until you discuss my income, the schools my children or grandsons are going to go to, the opportunities involved, the interest rates I got to pay on a mortgage or on the rent I got to pay in my house, till you get there, you ain't ringing my phone. So I'm not, people look crazy walking up and down the street answering cell phones that's not ringing. You look either crazy or stupid. And I hear people trying to, oh, well, let me explain to you, Senate Bill 101. No. Explain to me rent, food costs, groceries. Let's start there. We can get to the Senate bill, whatever you think is so impressively and poetically written. Let's start with the basics. And I always been like that. I love to read. I love to study homiletics and theology. I've been a preacher since I was a little boy. But I don't get up and preach like I'm in a seminary. I get up and preach to people's needs. You know, I go to some of these lectures, and Paul Tillich talked about ontology and the ontological explanation for the basis of where we're in. That ain't nothing but impressing yourself about yourself. Folks in the audience need to be told how to get out of the situations they're in, how to become better, how to make their family better. They don't need to know what you learned in some college. You need to learn in college what to do with what you learn. I'm not against college. I'm for it, many degrees as you can, but it's the application that makes one effective or not. Martin Luther King had a PhD from Boston University when blacks were still being segregated out of there. But what made him so strong in history is he fought for a seamstress that was arrested for not giving up her seat in the front of the bus, not for his dissertation at Boston University. What made him in history is he went to Birmingham and went to jail, and kids were bitten by dogs, and it got us the Civil Rights Act, not whatever he said in his graduation book at Morehouse. What made him make history is going into Selma and leading those 10 miles march from Selma to Montgomery after they beat Hosea Williams and John Lewis and Amelia Boykin on that Selma Bridge, Edmund Pettus Bridge, and that him going, taking up that march and raising that attention got us the Voting Rights Act. People get in history and make a difference by what they do, not what they know. Because if you really know something, then you should be doing something about what you know. Let me get in here. I have at the office here our COO of National Action Network, Chief Operating Officer, as well as the Senior Pastor of the historic Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Byrd. Reverend Byrd, give me a quick analysis of what you think last night's elections meant nationwide, from California through Virginia through New Jersey through New York.
First of all, Rev, I'm always glad to be on your radio program. Always glad to share with your listeners. A number of things crossed my mind concerning the elections last night. I've had a full day to reflect on it. The one pressing thing that I think speaks to me the most is that what we see across the country, some are calling it a blue wave coming across the nation, is largely in response to the feelings that most individuals have had since last November. This was the first time in many of these places that individuals really had a chance to step up and stand up to speak their voice through the ballot. Individuals such as Donald Trump should always understand that you can promulgate through executive orders as much as you want, but the people will always respond their wishes, and they will respond their own desires through their voting and how they vote. And what we have seen in California with the potential creation of 5 new potential Democratic seats, what we saw across the river from New York in New Jersey with the election of Mickey Sherrill. I was just down in Asbury Park, New Jersey, speaking at a Get Out the Vote effort down there. So there was a lot of energy behind getting people out to vote. And what we see on the flip side, in a place like Virginia, here you have a black woman, MAGA black woman, running for governor, never got the support of Donald Trump and didn't get the support of black people. Here you have a black woman in between two worlds, and neither world really wanted to claim her. And here in New York City, what we saw is people wanting a mayor who addressed the issues, as you said a moment ago, Reverend, that were most pressing to them. The cost of living in New York City, an NBC exit poll just said the cost of living in New York City is the most pressing issue for voters this past election, for yesterday. So who are people going to vote for if that's the most pressing issue? The person who addressed the cost of living the most. And I think this gives us a good indication if we continue to vote, if we continue to use the ballot to vote our needs as a people, this will give us a good indication.
Well, and I think first is to have candidates that address those needs. Mm-hmm. And the subliminal message is that if candidates are not addressing our needs, one has the legitimate right to suspect maybe you don't understand our needs, and maybe you are not tuned in to what we're about. A forensic accountant says something interesting on our message board. Says Claudette Colvin was 15 years old when she refused to give up her seat before Mrs. Parks. And I wrote a book, I think it was my last book, in fact, Righteous Troublemakers, where I talked about Claudette Colvin and other heroes of the civil rights movement that didn't get name recognition. Righteous Troublemakers, my last book, I think I wrote about 2.5, 3 years ago. And part of the reason, and we don't like to talk about it in public, but I think we need to deal with it. Part of the reasons that people like Claudette did not get the kind of support they got is in our own community. We have certain class and even color biases. There was a time if you wasn't a certain high yellow complexion, that meant something. You were too dark. I'm talking about black folks doing it to black folks. Whether you had, quote, good hair, whether somebody was too street, and all of that. And I think that part of the contradictions, now I maybe need to do a show on this, is that we cannot have these biases among ourselves. And Claudette Colvin, who was not as bright-skinned as Rosa Parks, and who had a child without being married, they said, no, she ain't the right example. But if we fighting for people to sit in front of the bus, are you going to tell me that there were whites sitting in front of the bus that didn't have children that wasn't married? Or that was not polished? So I think that we had to overcome some things ourselves. And I think in large part we did. But some of us still hung up in all of that. Yeah. I can't tell you, early in my career, I remember James Brown took me with him to the White House. First time I ever went to the White House. I had said to James Brown he needs to jump on President Reagan about getting us the Martin Luther King holiday. Reagan was against it. He arranged the appointment, making a long story short, made me go with him. On the way there, he told me, I want you to style your hair like mine. And on the way back on the plane, he said, I want you to keep it like that as long as I'm alive. Well, I did my hair like that, do it to this day, as my commitment to James Brown, even though he's dead. Because my father left when I was 10, I never had a man wanting me to emulate them. So it was a personal thing talking to a son figure that needed to feel acceptance and emulation from an older man. I can't tell you how many people told me, man, you need to get out your hair. They didn't understand why I wore my hair, but I understood why. So we bring all of those biases with us and judge people. I don't care if you got the biggest afro in the world or the longest ponytail. I'll go heads up against anybody and still do my hair the way I want to do my hair. And don't care if you don't like it. I'll start to say something else, but I don't want to speak that way in front of the company. Let's take a break. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Sharpton. That's my name. Reverend Malcolm Bird is with me for the rest of the show. We'll be right back.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, It's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself. No justice! No justice!
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir.
We want to move with gold.
Yeah.
We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation.
Wow.
And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. You live, sir. You live.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Bird, sitting in the last 40 minutes of the show. Let's go back to the phones. Let me go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio, to buzz. Ray?
Yes, sir, Rev. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. The Republicans took a shellacking, but we had here in Ohio, or Cincinnati, J.D. Vance's brother, he got his butt kicked. He lost, looked like maybe 20% to like 80%. I mean, he took a butt kicking of epic proportion. And then we had all non-Democrat city council people, so not one Republican. Let me ask you this. Do you think with the all the success that the Democrats had last night, if Chuck Schumer and the Democrats had folded and voted to open the government, that we would have had a bad showing, the Democrats? Or was that we just sticking it to the Republicans?
Well, I think this is Malcolm Bird responding to you, my brother, and I pray all is well with you. I think what we really saw last night was people really tired of the pot constantly boiling over in our communities. Since the election of Donald Trump last year, people have been struggling to find their voices. Even some of our elected officials have been struggling to find both their voices and their footing amid this terrible political climate in which we find ourselves. I think whether the government was open or shut down, I think people were still showing up in big numbers, because even before the government shutdown occurred, there was a lot of energy, there was a lot of traction behind individuals being determined to fight back this red wave, this conservative wave, this fascist wave that's taken over our country. So I think even without the shutdown, the turnout was still going to be high.
Yeah, but I think that the turnout was probably embellished by the shutdown. I agree with that train of thought. And the SNAP benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I would agree that the turnout would be high, but I don't know if we would have seen all four affected, and I don't know if we'd seen the numbers we saw if Trump was not, and the Republicans had not engaged in this shutdown. I think the insensitivity drove a lot of people out that may not have come out. I think they still would have probably won. I think Mondami won either way. I think that probably Spanberger, given the margins, she won. I don't know where Jersey would have gone. And I think Gavin might have won. I think they probably could have marginally won, but I think it was exacerbated by the just total insensitivity of the Republicans and Donald Trump.
Yeah, but Rev, here's my take on the governorship in Virginia, but they voted down ballot too, lieutenant governors.
That's right.
You know,
and the attorney general, a brother won who had a scandal, and he still won.
Yeah, and here in Cincinnati, we voted overwhelmingly for the mayor of Cincinnati, but to get 9 Democrats on city council, they just didn't stop at the mayor. So I think voters are wise enough. We want the folks at the top, but you got to keep going down the ballot in order to get things done.
I agree. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Deborah in Atlanta, Georgia. Keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Reverend Al, and the other pastor with you, Pastor Reverend Bird. I just wanted to bring, I don't have anything really deep. I just wanted to bring, and you may have discussed it, I heard little bits and pieces, but the first thing I woke up to was a text from a group that one of my girlfriends put me in. And the person said, oh, praise God for the win. However, then she used, don't rejoice over your enemy's victory. And, that kind of got to me and had me thinking.
Don't rejoice over your enemy's victory. What enemy? What is she talking about?
Well, don't rejoice in your enemy's defeat. She was talking.
Oh, in their defeat. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, in their defeat. I'm sorry, in their defeat. So what she was trying to say is, we won, but, don't get overexcited about it. They got defeated. Don't get, making it seem like it's sinful to rejoice, right? So the first thing I thought about is like, okay, I don't know if it's a matter of us being conditioned over the years. Like if it's Black celebration, it's like there's always something about our celebration. If it's in the church, we hoop and holler too much, we dance too much. Whatever it is, it seems like our celebration is demeaned or just looked down upon. And I think maybe subliminally we have had that because if you look after, Reconstruction, right? So when Blacks were celebrating about, becoming free, yeah, they were in the streets celebrating. They also strategized. They also looked for their families. It's not that you can't do both. So, after, they won, all they were doing is just partying in the street. And, you would see all those kind of ads if you look back at it. And then we continue with it. And that just made me think about why can't we celebrate? If you look at the Republicans, from the time of the Confederacy, you would think that they won the war. When Trump won, you would think that he had a landslide victory. And they celebrate, and they're not ashamed of it. But it seems like, we have to dampen ourselves as Democrats. But if you look at, if you want to get all spiritual and look in the Bible, when the walls of Jericho fall, you look at all the other victories, when David, what was the thing? Saul slew his 1,000, David threw his 10,000. They were dancing in the streets. And I'm not saying we just dance and celebrate, but you can celebrate and have strategies as well.
Yeah, I think I'm closer to you. I tell people celebrate, but then know when to end the celebration and go to work. And even in your work, you can still be celebratory. Just don't let your guard down. And you know, I think that you're right. Some people have been trained to, you know, there's the expression of snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat. Some people snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. I mean, you ought to celebrate a victory, but you ought to do it in a way that does not make you relax and vulnerable for the next fight. And that's what I said coming on today. We won an inning, and but we haven't won the fight. But that doesn't mean you can go back to your corner and say, you know, I expect y'all to pat me on the back. I did good in that inning. We did an inning. You want to inspire people that they can win, but it doesn't stop with just one vote. And I think you're right. I would go along with you on that.
Well, thank you. It wasn't anything deep, but I just wanted us to ponder that, you know, like we can. And when we go back in a corner and says nothing, that's how the other narrative is told.
Well, the other narrative is not only told that way, and you're right, but also, Reverend Byrd, if you don't show some celebration and some positive, the people that are in the community that are not as well informed won't even know you won. People will feel like, it was just another election. You need to do that so people will feel there is some wins in this thing.
Absolutely. And I think in response to what you said, Sister Deborah, I think it's really important for us as a people to be able to celebrate while standing up, celebrate while working, celebrate while moving towards something. Because the nature of our work, those who are committed to truth, liberation, and justice, as Reverend Sharpton just mentioned, we have to inspire those who are apathetic, those who don't quite know if they can get into the fight. And here in New York City, 70% of Zohran Mamdani's supporters were under the age of 30. That's a demographic where inspiration is very, very important if you're going to keep them in this fight for human liberation and dignity and this fight for justice for all. So celebrate, yes, but celebrate knowing that the purpose of the celebration is to inspire those behind you to keep the fight going.
And that you can win.
And that you can win.
And you, because we have been given, as Deborah said, such a loser's kind of complex, you need to let them know we can win and we won some. Nobody wants to get in a crowd that never wins.
Right.
And you know, it's like getting up in the morning and going out to the breakfast table and everybody in the house comes and say, how you doing this morning? Good morning. What's so good about it? I mean, nobody want to be at the house with you every day telling, I don't want to hear that. I mean, so I think that there is something in what you're saying. Thank you for your call. Let me take my break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Bird. Be right back. Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich Newton for bringing us back. The essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We gonna organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed
is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. Thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Malcolm Bird sitting in with me. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC every Saturday and Sunday. And I've been working the phones, and I am on my message pads, well, not message pads, but my text messages, working on my guests myself. I have a staff at MSNBC, but I like to reach some of these people directly because I don't want anyone but the top there wasting your time and mine. So watch it Saturday and Sunday as we deal with the continued shutdown, where we will be then, Saturday or Sunday, the real fallout of the elections yesterday, where we are with SNAP, and where we are with redistricting, given the Proposition 50 victory in the state of California. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to the sage of the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, good afternoon to both of you. A great day, great victory, great effort on behalf of our people, and great effort on behalf of you and others who kept the inspiration and the information going. Because that's critical. That was very critical also. The young lady talked about celebration, and I want to, Reverend Sharpton, you all have to do something about Van Jones. I'm serious. Van Jones, ever since he got that money, who did he get the money from? Bezos?
Bezos. I think it was Bezos' ex-wife.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever since he got that money, his position is just watery, like milk. You know what I mean? He said last night that. Well, let me put it this way: what's communistic about a free bus ride? Or what's communistic about a store that offers free food to people who need free food? What's communistic about those things? And then why would the billionaires of New York abandon New York because people are getting a free bus ride? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And for them to present that position, that all of a sudden New York is going to fall apart because some people in the community get access to satisfy needs satisfy needs they need to perform their duties that they're attempting to perform as citizens and family members. I mean, why would the big billionaires leave New York as if the bus ride didn't have to be paid for by somebody? Like the free food has to be bought and paid. Somebody's still going to make money. So why would then he comes on and says, man, Danny was arrogant in his acceptance speech, that he should have been humble. Now here's a guy that just called you a communist, which has the possibility to get you assassinated in this climate, which means that you had to add new security. And then Van Jones come on and say he needs to be humbled and he shouldn't have pointed out Trump like he did. he shouldn't have challenged Trump like he did. The governor those two governor ladies challenged him and talked about him too. And he didn't talk about him as long as one of those ladies talked about him.
Right.
But this dude something's going on with this dude, Reverend Al. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna keep an eye on him. But the reality of it is, there's nothing communistic about this particular brother being the mayor of New York. And anybody with common sense know that you're not going to shut down the whole capitalist mindset of New York City for complete socialism. You know what I mean? And I heard you say many times, a lot of our laws and a lot of our programs are socialistic programs to some degree. Social Security and others and others and others. You know what I mean? But I'll end with this. The shutdown was critical. And this is why it was critical. Because it forced the Republicans who benefit from SNAP, who had the shutdown not been there, they would have been getting their SNAP. And they would have been getting all those benefits. And then they would have sat quietly like they've been doing all the time. But since those shutdowns affected them, just like the thing affected the farmers, now they're willing to say, hey, this man maybe has gone too far, and we got to rethink this particular situation. So I think the shutdown was critical because the shutdown forced Trump's hand, and it made him do this ridiculous thing and say ridiculous things and be insensitive, like you said, to the needs of the people, and that played a major role in what took place yesterday. So I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Yeah, I think you added something, and I'm glad you brought it up. I got to check out what happened to Van Jones. I haven't been really tracking him. I'm going to look into this.
Yeah.
All right, let me go to Fred in Milwaukee. Fred.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, just, I want to bring up one thing that a caller said earlier and then comment on the election. She asked as far as the military, and in the U.S., not the U.S., but the Washington Post, about a week or so ago, they put in there how 23,000 troops are going to be trained at rapid response unit. They're handpicked they're going to federalize from the military. Out of 1.3 million troops we have, they selected 23,000 for some specialized training to respond to the urban community. So we have to, Congress needs to set up oversights with their rule of engagement, find out, where they're coming from, because we don't know if they got mercenaries or what in these troops, so forth. But regarding the election, I just want to say, there's battles won, but the war is not over. Like the gentleman just said and the other people, I hope that the Democrat and the Democratic, the head of the chairman, that he gets together with Newsom, the mayor of New York, the governors that won in Virginia and New Jersey, where they get together and compromise and strategize as far as what won these elections. And like I said, it came down to talking to the people. And then also we need to stop letting the Republicans define what we are. Stop letting them define what democratic socialism is. Put our own definition out. Promote that. What does it mean? The same like how they condemn woke, calling us the woke mob. No, we're aware of what's going on. We don't have our eyes closed like a lot of the Republicans in Congress have, where Trump just do whatever. Like, for example, the White House. He just did that on his own. But who was vetted? How do we know there's not some spies that are going to put stuff in the White House and building? That's a process to get somebody that's clear to build a building on federal government, especially the White House, where listening devices and so forth, especially the way Trump is with Putin.
Yeah.
So these are things that so I'm glad the victory, and I celebrate it, and I'm happy, but I know the war is not over because, it puts the Republicans kind of in a bad position in the sense of if they go nuclear, then they get all the blame for the shutdown.
And I think you're right. I think you're right. Reverend Bird, we got to go, but I think as Fred was talking, it also comes to mind that the whole idea of this building this ballroom goes in line with someone that wants to be looked upon as a monarch or a king, remembering this No King's March of a few weeks ago, because most dictators and rulers like that, they lavish in having great banquet halls or great ballrooms that they could be feted in.
And historically, if you look at Mao Zedong in China, look at South Korean leaders, look at the building projects of Adolf Hitler in Germany and Mussolini in Italy. Any leader such as a Donald Trump, any type of leader, any fascist leader, any absolute control leader always builds great federal municipal projects that say, hey, this is how great I am. And typically, those halls of power are typically always dotted with white and gold. And you're seeing some of that in the White House press conferences and things of that nature. I don't know if he's sitting in the White House or sitting in the Kremlin because it looks the same. So they take pages out of the same playbooks. You want to lead a people, make yourself big as a god. That's the great human sin from a biblical perspective. We would be as gods, and Donald Trump is the poster child.
All right, getting ready to go. Let me remind you, we will be on tomorrow. Let's keep assessing. Let's keep going. Let's keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Sharpton. Talk to you tomorrow.